And I know y'all gonna hate me for this. One thing about Young Boy, first of all, it that interview, mind y'all divas, I'm gonna watch the full interview with him and Funny Marco, okay, so I can gain a full perspective. But I seen bits and pieces enough to understand, and I listen to his songs enough to understand why he said what he said about his mother. Mind you guys, he actually was respectful, and that's actually what I loved about the interview. Is that one thing about Young Boy during that interview, y'all? He sounded very clear and he was being very respectful. But basically, to sum it all up, what he said, it's not that I don't love my mother. I love my mother. But I was angry for, most of his anger stemmed from his fucked up relationship with his mother, which I can completely relate to, Young Boy. I understand where you coming from, baby. I get that. But I agree with him when he was like, she, I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but he was just opening up about, like his mama having a mental disorder and being an attention seeker and all that other shit. I fully agree, because when you take the time to get on the internet and to do all that hoopla, and your son didn't even disrespect you, he didn't talk about the full dynamic over what he had to suffer. He was just saying in a respectful way, talking about, loving her from a distance, right? And where his anger came from. He didn't sit up here and expose and air out her dirty laundry. So it's like when she came on the internet and was quick to say, "Oh, I don't do this. I don't," like I said, narcissistic abuse. Them motherfuckers be having a mental disorder. You'll spend so much time being on survival mode, taking everything out of proportion, rather than really listening to what your child is trying to tell you. And like I said, one thing I give to Young Boy, he was very respectful within that interview. And one thing I loved about it, he spoke his mind very clearly. And one thing I do love about NBA Young Boy, and I know he got a lot of kids, he got a lot of shit going on, and I'm not enabling that, but I'm just saying, y'all, he said what the fuck he needed to say, period. And behind what he said, when you really grew up when you really grew up with Young Boy, you like that motherfucker, he made some growth. I'll give him that. But like I said, you proved him right, because you was quick to hop on the internet and to do all, like, I really hate that for him. But yeah, y'all, one thing I do respect about Young Boy is when he be, when he be about that life, he be standing on business. Hey, cause some motherfuckers be rapping about all this, and they be some scary ass niggas. Like I said, I'm not enabling certain things, but hey, at least he stand on his shit.